If you're an SSI beneficiary receiving benefits from Social Security on the behalf of your supplemental security income, this is a big week for you as we're going to be getting a major announcement that directly relates to you and your monthly benefits, and it's something we certainly need to watch very, very closely. And I'm going to break it all down for you in this video. And I also do have this screenshot, which I'm going to pop up on the screen in just a second so you can see and read for yourself exactly what they're talking about right here and what we can anticipate the announcement to be when we get it here in just a matter of days this week, still in mid-ish January 2026. A lot of things have been happening so far, and as an SSI beneficiary, you recognize just as much as everybody else out there, these benefits are great. The SSI program is a really good program. The problem with the program, as I've said so many times over the years, this program unfortunately continues to fail the beneficiary. I know that's a weird thing to say, but realistically, this was set up back in the early 70s as an anti-poverty program. Unfortunately, the way that the SSI program is now, it's basically a guaranteed poverty program. If you're receiving SSI benefits, because this program has not kept over the last 50 plus years, you're basically guaranteed to live in poverty if you are on SSI benefits. That's bad. That's really, really bad. Basically forcing about 7.5 million people on SSI to be living in poverty. It's a nasty situation. And again, we've talked about this so many times over the years. SSI needs to be reformed. They need to raise these benefits in a massive, massive way. And again, the information that we're going to get out this week is going to be actually very important to help determine where benefits need to go, how much they need to be increased, and where we go from here. Anyway, let's pop this article up right here, right now. Actually, it's a screenshot. This is an AI summary, but it also is a very good reflection of what we need to know here. All right, what are we getting this week? The federal poverty line. Federal poverty line announcement for 2026, okay? This is very important. Reason being is this. Remember, SSI benefits were supposed to be at parity with the federal poverty line. That's the whole purpose of it. In the anti-poverty program, they were supposed to keep parity. In other words, equal to the federal poverty line, okay? They've fallen way behind. Now, for 2025, the federal poverty line for an individual, as you can see here on the screenshot, $15,650. For a household of two, $21,150. That was in 2025. Here we are, 2026. What is going to be the federal poverty line or federal poverty level, as they like to say? According to projections, the federal poverty line is likely going to increase by about 4.9% over what it was last year in 2025, up to roughly $16,430 for an individual and roughly $22,200 for a household of two. It's very, very important to understand these numbers. And here's the deal. It's more than just about your SSI benefit as well. Remember, how do they determine eligibility for virtually all of these other low-income programs that are out there? Now, not every single one of them, but the bulk of these programs that are out there. How do they determine eligibility? Someone's income as a percentage of the federal poverty line. 100% of the federal poverty line, 130% of the federal poverty line, something like that. Generally, if somebody's income is 100% or below the federal poverty line, your availability and eligibility for a ton of low-income programs all across the board is out there, okay? Now, obviously, when it comes down to the food stamp program, it's generally 130% of the federal poverty line or lower, which is what allows somebody to be eligible for these programs. And again, the reason that we want to watch it so closely for SSI, Supplemental Security Income, administered by Social Security, for roughly 7.5 million people, is simply because of all the pieces of legislation that are out there floating around, including the SSI Restoration Act, which hasn't passed yet, to be 100% fair with you. But many of the pieces of legislation that are out there suggest the same thing. Raise SSI benefits to the federal poverty line. So every single year that the benefits are not increased to the federal poverty line, they're falling further and further behind. Now remember, in 2025, with a federal poverty line of $15,650 and a maximum individual benefit of $967, benefits were below the federal poverty line by 34.85%. That's nasty. I mean, that is really, really nuts right there, okay? Now, I'm going to be fair with you. I have not run the calculations. I have not run the math on this. But if the federal poverty line goes up to $16,430 for an individual, I'm not sure what that is on a monthly basis. I need to run the math on that still. But then the maximum benefit right now in 2026 being $994. I wouldn't be shocked if we're still below the federal poverty line by somewhere around the 35%. Again, that's nuts. That is absolutely nuts with how far below the federal poverty line is, right? And again, remember, the whole reason I'm making such a big deal about this is because when the SSI program was formed back in the early 70s under Nixon, Richard Nixon, the whole purpose of this program was an anti-poverty program to make sure that adults 65 and over with a limited income, limited resources, and those individuals under the age of 65 with disabilities would not need to be reliant on friends and family and acquaintances for financial stability. That was literally the purpose of the program. That's why they formed this program. Well, guess what SSI beneficiaries are reliant on now? Yeah, friends, family, acquaintances, and the government, because the program is failing the beneficiary. If they just paid out benefits equal to parity with the federal poverty line, do you think SSI beneficiaries would be struggling financially to the degree that they are right now? Let me give you a quick example. And again, I'm going to go back to 2025 here for a second, even though here we are kind of mid-2026 right now. I'm going to go back to 2025 because I know the numbers, and in 2026, we don't know exactly what the numbers are going to be yet. In 2025, SSI benefits on an individual level would have needed to be increased by $337 a month just to be brought up to the federal poverty line. Now, my question for you is this. Drop your comment down below and let me know. I would love to read your comments. As an SSI beneficiary, back in 2025, getting a maximum benefit of $967 would increase to your benefit of $337 up to $1,304 a month. Would that have changed your life? Okay, drop a comment down below. Yes or no? Would an extra $337 last year, would that have changed your life? Monthly, by the way. Okay, I would anticipate something very similar right now in 2026. As an individual, receiving the maximum of $994 a month as an individual on SSI, would an extra, say, $330, $340 a month change your life a little bit? I don't want to speak for anybody, but I anticipate it would probably change the life of a lot of people. Now, does that mean you're going to move out to the country and buy a mansion and get 16 horses? No. No, it does not mean you're going to do that. Okay, I'm going to be fair with you. It sounds really nice. Honestly, it sounds like a really nice life. But no, you're not going to do that. But does it mean that you probably have, enough food on the table every month? You're heating your home properly in the winter, cooling it properly in the summer. Maybe you can pay for, that car or to whatever, the car to be fixed or even the insurance for the vehicle. Does it mean that you could possibly live on your own and not have a roommate or be reliant on, your son or your daughter for financial means or whatever else it happens to be? And again, I'm just making up scenarios here, but I'm not sure. I'm just saying, do you think an extra $330 to $340 plus a month would be beneficial right now as an SSI beneficiary? Again, drop your comments down below. I would love to hear from you. But that is why these numbers are so incredibly important and why we need to continue to watch the federal poverty line numbers every single year, because this ultimately predicates your eligibility for a ton of the programs out there. The SNAP program, the LIHEAP program, the WAP program, the ACP program, which is actually no longer a thing anymore. It was a few years ago. Again, the list, the TANF program, the SSI program, again, the list goes on and on. It's all around, it's all predicated to, it's all pegged to the federal poverty line, your eligibility for these programs, okay? That's why it's so important and why we want to make such a big deal about it. But anyway, the official announcement coming out this week. At least it's supposed to be coming out this week. I'll keep you posted on it when we get those official numbers. But as of right now, and again, I want to be fair with you, I had a video out probably 2 months ago, maybe October, November, something like that of last year. Again, here we are mid-January as I film this video. But last year, again, I think it was maybe November, maybe it was October. I'm not sure exactly when it was. But I had a video out and I was saying, hey, here are the projections for 2026. And I was saying $16,430 for an individual, $22,200 for a household of two. That's what the projections were, 2 or 3 months ago, whatever it was. And here we are. Let's see how they come in. but anticipating an increase of about 4.9% on the federal poverty line, and how massively important this number really is, even though it sounds like, who cares? It doesn't really matter. No, it matters in a big way, especially if lawmakers finally come and do something and actually raise these benefits up to the federal poverty line. How massive would that be? And again, the higher the federal poverty line goes, the higher a potential raise would be for these benefits. Anyway, there's many other proposals out there, by the way, that want to do something very similar to Social Security. Hang tight. I'll make you dedicated videos about that. We'll see what these numbers come in at. Anyway, I hope this helps you. As always, please consider subscribing. Big subscribe button down below. Please share the video. Big share button down below. Otherwise, drop your comments, your questions, your feedback down below. Let me know what else I can do for you. Otherwise, please have a nice day. Take care. Thank you so much for watching this. Stay tuned. We've got a busy time upon us right now. I'll continue to be here for you by your side every single day. Enjoy. Take care. Subscribe. Share the video. And I'll catch you again later.